Bangers, Matty.
Hello, I'm Colin.
I was just thinking, Colin, right? I feel
Aye,
unnatural now saying welcome to Long Bangers without adding in the
aye,
in really spirits bit, right? And obviously the reason we didn't continue is because we're now on Talksport with a
uh-huh.
podcast, right? So this isn't the same with the YouTube, right? YouTube's still available for sponsorship if anyone's interested, and we've got a couple of inquiries ongoing about that, which we need to pick up on later. But I think if we wanted to keep in release spirits, would we get away with saying no in association?
No association.
Like to say that we're not
Company.
sponsored a bit, but keep giving them the publicity that way. Like
Greg, let
to
us know.
suggest it.
Aye. As long as he's a subscriber, check the subscriber list. Make sure he's a subscriber, and if he is, we might do that.
Aye, we could do it. And I think that's everybody. We could do what we used to be, but we're not anymore. But you want a couple of tickets for the weekend. Kenny says, evening, gents, evening, Kenny. Colin, how are you doing anyway? Like, I'm just
All
jumping
right,
in sponsors and that, right? How are you doing?
I'm all right. I'm not bad. Just aye. I was watching that Department Q. You watched that yet on Netflix? The Edinburgh
Ah,
Cop program is just on. It's got the usual ones in it. Jamie Sivis, Mark Bonner. They come as a partnership. I think they're all never in programs together. 2.5 episodes into that at the moment.
is this the one that's got some scenes set in Musselburgh?
Apparently, aye. I've not
Aye,
done. I've seen any of that yet though. Stags. Aye.
aye. That's from Old Man Drinks, eh?
Aye, it's a good pub that.
Aye. I don't think I've ever been in.
Have you not?
I think so.
Mm,
Maybe change that. I must have been at some point, like over
must have
the
been.
years, eh?
I've been out a few times, like.
Aye. Chris says, evening, boys. Evening, Chris. Right, on the agenda of the night, Colin, we've got there's a transfer rumour broke earlier on the day,
All
which was
right, I might break it for me then, because I reckon if I've seen it.
so it's a guy called I'm trying to remember Xavier Simons or Simmons.
Right,
Um,
not going to make any odds. I'm not going to be able to add to anything to that
no,
conversation.
he's at Hull, so the local Hull press have suggested we made a bid for him, but he
Aye.
was loaned to Wycombe Wanderers last season, midfielder.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if that's any indication of what's happening with Triantis, or
Mm.
if we're just going in for an extra midfielder anyway.
Like a centre
Um,
mid, like, or does it say?
let's look while we're talking about. We can talk about
Right.
it as we get in to the episode, and we can have a look together.
Okay.
We'll investigate it and find it for the very first time as we
Mhm.
we also had Jake Doll Hayes taking Hibs to court this week as well. So we could talk a little bit about that. Like a quite an interesting one to come up. Ian Gordon has been in the paper as well, talking about the relationship with Black Knight.
Mhm.
A really good article as well. So I think what happened is even you lifted it from the Athletic, papers and that do that now.
Aye.
That's I suppose we're doing it at the minute. It's taking it for somebody else and talking about it.
Mhm.
So and then we will pick up on our season review where we'll look at August's fixtures, which wasn't a great time for us last season. So
Mhm.
anyway, right, do you want me to have a look at this boy then? This, what did we say his name was?
Javier Simon.
Simons.
Simons. I'm going to look him up right now as well.
Let's Wikipedia.
Says he's a footballer on Wikipedia, so
Right,
that's a
let's
good
get
start.
that. I said on loan from Hull to Wycombe Wanderers. He signed for Chelsea in 2016 from local rivals Brentford, made his debut on 22nd of December 21 in the quarterfinals of the EFL Cup. He moved on loan to Hull in 2023, and then it was announced he would join permanently. He scored his first goal for the club in October 24. Then he went out on loan to Fleetwood, and he scored his first goal there in April. And then in February, he went out on loan to Wycombe Wanderers, who represented England up to the under 20 level. He replaced Aaron Ramsey in the World Cup squad after he was injured. So that's no bad. Like we've kind of been burnt by that before, really. Like we
Yeah.
think somebody who's been like an English under 21 or 23 international, and you go, oh fucking, they must be good, and then they've ended up being
Mhm.
shite, really.
The thing is, you would think they're looking at that. So I think sometimes we've maybe suffered for that because they've been a Chelsea player and they come to us direct, or a Man City player and they've come to us direct, or whatever.
Aye,
Whereas he's been like he's probably had a bit of sense of realisation there. He's had to play for Fleetwood, maybe under Lee Johnson, who knows, and Wycombe Wanderers, and this is him coming back up the ladder.
Aye.
to some extent. If he signs, you would think, based on them, disrespect, all disrespect due to the clubs. I've no idea what even league they're in, but I'm disrespecting them, and we're a bigger club. So, he's probably, cause it's not like he's going to think it's like, I'm better than this place. He's probably thinking, I want to get back to where I thought I was going to be.
Aye. There's definitely a step back up the ladder. We've had a bit of joy in that sort of talent pool before, haven't we? Like Stubbs tended to target players like that that had maybe gone down south or their career had stalled a wee bit and tried to get them back on track. Well, interesting to see if anything comes of it. It might just be paper talk at this stage. You see the Observer were continuing to sort of push that we're trying to sign Chapman on a permanent. And I can't remember if we spoke about it last week or if this was on the phone-in. Hibs said on the retained list that they were still trying to sign Rocky as well and Hoylett.
Aye.
That.
I think they're crowd pleasers, aren't they? If nothing else, if we sign them, it keeps the morale high and all that. The Simons one, Simmons. I don't know if it's Simons or Simon. I don't know. But they're a bit of an unknown, isn't it? But sometimes people like that, and he's got a bit of, he's English, right? But he's got a name that folk would be giving him at the Harvey and all
Is
that.
an
It's like,
exciting game in it.
nah,
Yeah, definitely better than a Jeff. No offense to Jeff or a Derek.
yeah, that's
No offense
that's
to Ireland,
nah.
but
Hmm.
aye. Chris said this is the start of a long summer. Have the speedway to pass the time. It's good if you've got a hobby in the summer. Like if you're only into football, this is a shit time of year.
You say that my old man says it always rains on a Friday because he's a speedway man. Always rains on a fucking Friday. That's what he says.
No weatherman though, is he?
No, but come on, he's right as often as the weatherman is.
Fair enough. Grant said, glad to see Willie Coleman rage all the right people by sticking to his guns with the goal that never was. So you tweeted about that, Colin. A bit of a well done to Willie Coleman. What were you thinking when you made that tweet?
Well, so I thought it was over the line, but I also thought the Celtic one was over the line. But if they're telling me that the Celtic one's not over the line, then they're right to say that one's not over the line. I don't think there's like the ref watch guys were trying to say that one was so clear it was over and one wasn't. And it just isn't. So consistency is the same decision on both. And I know that they've landed in our favour, but I would say they were both over the line. Right, I would say the Celtic one, so that was our goal. Their goal should get chopped off, and I think the Rangers goal probably should have stood. But the uproar that got created by the media, by Celtic, by Dundee United as well, to an extent, it wasn't a cross the line one though. All in that week, Colin folded and went with the noise, threw his main VAR guy under the bus, sacked him, gave him the blame, and you could, when you listen to the audio, they were thinking, well, that's not conclusive. That was their words because that's where they've got him, and they've got him bringing and thinking, well, they'll sack me if I give this, I'm getting sacked.
Aye.
So they had to back them. Otherwise, like, well, Alan Muir would have been gone, well, we're fucking minute, I've got an unfair dismissal or something on the go here.
Aye, totally. I thought it was interesting. I don't know if I'm happy about so I'm happy that they're being consistent, but I don't know if I'm happy that we're in a world now where folk just can't trust their eyes, and they'll not make a judgment on it. Because I'd rather in both occasions you go right. We've looked at the best evidence, which was the replay. Slow down, check the best angle you've got, rather than relying on a linesman who's fucking miles away from it, or a referee that's miles away from it.
It is mad that if the referee or the linesman give it, everybody's totally cool with it, where you can watch it on the telly and go, I think they're wrong. But they're not want to accept it. It's fucking mad. The linesman that gets one view once from wherever he is has got. It's just crazy that can't be overruled. But that's the whole with Doug still, isn't it?
Aye, that's where they've gone with it. And if they're going to be consistent, so I fully expected Colin to say this one's obviously over.
Aye.
To get that, it's obviously over, so we would be expecting the VAR intervention. The fact that he went, well, nah, you can't tell. It's only the one angle, and we got pelters last time, so fuck you.
Yeah.
Fair play to him. I was quite impressed with that. Although a bit less impressed with the handball for Nisbet. See when you watch the frame by frame, you can't see the ball hitting his arm. You just see it deflected, like the changes direction, and it's obvious that's what's happened. But just the way that cameras work, that He didn't
You said
actually
you couldn't do that.
he didn't get a conclusive shot at the ball on his arm, which
Mm-hmm.
is what they wanted when they were talking about the Dundee United one.
But obviously the other team didn't moan enough,
Aye, they didn't
and they're
get.
reacting to noise.
So there you go.
So the answer is for next season, moan like fuck when you get a decision that you didn't like.
Aye. Sandy said, "Evening, guys. Hibs withdrawal symptoms are everywhere. Been watching old cup finals." Stevie said, "Bain, Henderson, Porteous, get them in for starters." So Bain, the goalkeeper. I think I forgot what they call
Yeah.
for Bain, the goalkeeper, and I think it's Liam Henderson and Ryan Porteous. Do you think every club has fans that are obsessed with getting all players back, or is that a particular Hibs thing? No, I
I
haven't
don't
meant
know,
like
but
just
it's
observation.
very we're really bad for it. But I don't know if it's just because we live that, like we're in that. I mean, what's it more? I don't know. It'd be interesting to ask other teams. Because it's almost as soon as somebody leaves and fails somewhere else. So we're like, oh, we love him back.
Aye,
Like, we'll take the first rejection, like, no, Liam Henderson, I think he's done quite well for himself, to be fair to the boy, but, like, some of the other names, Bain just went and took the money grab, right?
yeah,
I'll be
fair.
second choice, I'll no bother playing for the next 4 or 5 seasons. And Borges has pretty much failed on the road, hasn't he? I mean, he got the sending off in the Euros last year, and that seems to have really had a bit of knock-on impact into his season because he's Watford punted down to Preston, and Preston didn't play him, and that was with a former Hibs manager.
Yeah.
So, uh,
Um,
but that doesn't mean like he'd come straight back in and like we just assume he'd be good. I mean, he got away with a lot when he was here. I think this is a fan base gave him a lot of.
I thought just was a cracking player, like and a good talent as well. Somebody who was developing, and I thought we were a better team with Porteous and than without. But I think how much he's progressed since leaving. So if he came back and still had that room to grow, then aye. Um, but also, I mean, speaking to somebody from the club, somebody senior at the club after he left, they they were very clear that it was the right time to move him on because of the sort of negative impact he was having on the rest of the dressing room because he felt he should be at a higher level than Hibs.
I
So,
mind he was saying that stuff as we with Scotland, and it's good because you can do a rondo and everybody's got the ball under control and that.
aye.
I mind.
Kind of similar to what we were saying about Xavier Simons, that if he's seen this as a step up, Porteous would see it as a step back, and you don't really want something that's coming down, resenting the fact that they're back where they were.
Aye.
Not that he necessarily would, it's a bit presumptuous of me, but you never know. Jason Ladd said, "Hail." I don't know if you try to get a song started, Jason, does it work the same? Uh, or if it's a reference
It's
to
going to be a big long one when you start it
uh,
anyway, isn't it?
Hale. Is it the Ronan Hale? Is that the boy at Ross County? If what
Mm-hmm.
we're talking about is signing. I'm not sure. I tend to find I would like us to set our sights a bit higher than him, than Ronan Hale at Ross County. I think Hibs have tried to do this thing where we sign the better players for teams below us in the past, and doesn't it often work out for us? I don't think. Um,
I mind the half we got because of St Mirren signings, even though John McGinn was one of them.
aye,
Stevie Mallon and Jake Doyle Hayes,
aye,
and there's another one, McGinn.
right, mind you, right, like we. Are you
Trey Wright
talking
St
about?
Johnston. I was thinking about St Mirren players. Was it
Oh,
the
it's
other
Minton,
McGinn?
aye. Gogic
Hmm.
as well, another one that we got for St Mirren.
Did we?
Uh,
Did he go back to St Mirren after we signed
or
him?
did we get it for Hamilton? Maybe
Aye,
was
would have
it?
been.
Was it Hamilton? He was at, and then he went to St Mirren after. I thought he went back to St Mirren. There you go. Old mind plays tricks on you.
Does. I'm
Um,
just looking at the Patreon chat there and I see like Jamie Monroe saying how shite is it without the football. I'm all right with it. I quite like a few weeks off.
yeah.
Aye, I think I'm in the majority with that, but I do. I quite like, and I am sitting here doing this, but it's kind of contractually obliged. But I'm a wee bit like I quite like having not having to think about it. That's why you seen that fucking signing the day or proposed signing.
That's true. You'd like a wee close season.
Aye, I do. Aye.
Chris said Simons, let's not kid on. He would be desperate to come. Who wants to live in Hull? Even Del Boy was that desperate to get away. He trusted Uncle Albert in a boat. um, Jason says, hope they get that prick bomber sorted. I think that's the corruption.
Aye.
The
Well, I
corruption.
done Tom Boyd a few
Well,
years
I
ago,
don't know
and
if he
he
got
was
pulled
at it.
up for that, did he? Do you know?
Bomber, I've not seen anything getting pulled up a bit. He's
Yeah.
still looking for the deeds, though.
Aye. the deeds. Green Tea said, evening all from Toulouse. Glad I'm not in Paris. And Sandy said, Colin, are we wanting more tech then? Go back to the VAR check.
I'd give them more power. I would, and I know that's controversial to some because I know there's people that don't like it, and that's fair enough. But I think it would be better if they had more authority. Not to slow the game down, but to actually tell the referee when they're wrong, rather than say to the ref, "Oh, you might be wrong. You maybe will have a look, see if it's wrong." Just tell them it's wrong.
That would
Um,
save a bit of time, wouldn't it?
it would be quicker. Aye,
Aye.
and it works in other sports, and it's like we limited them to certain decisions and certain areas of the pitch, and just say, see if the ref's wrong, tell him he's wrong.
Aye. Andrew said, looks like something could be done this week as Nectar's left the Australia squad. Saw that as well. And Nectar left the squad and Iredale was left out.
I thought he didn't even go.
I don't know. I think he pulled out. But I don't know if he went and pulled out or if he just never made it across at all. But I noticed Iredale never made the World Cup squad, which is a bit gutting for him. Although I think that still leaves him eligible for Scotland, so maybe there.
I'd have him over just to have a look at him.
I guess so. Aye.
And then they dropped the squad for 30 to 25 or something like that.
Aye. Maybe just like a wee morale booster to see like you're
Yeah.
close to stick in and you could
Aye.
be next time.
Or maybe Boyle took him instead of the wife over or something. Like, use the spare ticket. I'm sure you get two tickets, eh? Or Miller.
Aye.
Like, Miller would have a spare one anyway.
Right, Jake Doyle Hayes taking the club to court. This was I can't remember what day it was. Wednesday, I think that the story broke. Some eagle-eyed punter had spotted it in the court listings. Jake Doyle Hayes versus Hibernian. And then Evening News reported on it and said it was relating to an injury picked up when former manager Lee Johnson tackled him in a 50-50, I think, at training.
Yeah.
What did you make of this story?
I don't know if it said 50-50, it just said tackle, eh? But what did I make it? I don't know, because like I've been reading the threads on the message boards and stuff, and the stuff on Twitter, and I've seen a couple of group chats and that. And I think it's a bit weird trying to make your mind up with it. Like, all you know is he's taking us to court. Now, he could be fully justified in doing that, or he could be fucking at it, and we don't know because we don't know the facts. And I get folk will just want to defend the club, but you know what? You shouldn't just defend them indefensibly,
Mm.
but you shouldn't also just like. There's folk also going in. There's a couple of folk on the message board going all in on he's 100% right, and they're saying no reason why. They're just saying because I've heard stuff. It's like, well,
Aye.
it's just like total conjecture, isn't it?
Mhm.
It's just I don't know. If he's due it, give him the money. If he's no, fucking let him lose the case.
Aye. It's kind of you want Alan, I wanted to see, and this is like a general principle. I want to see Hibs treat people fairly.
Aye,
I also want to see folk treat Hibs fairly. Like you know what players taking the piss if and try to kind of take advantage if it's no.
you think he would? You think he's not doing like it doesn't
No.
happen very often. He must think he's got something.
Aye, well, I spoke to somebody about it that deals with these kind of things, and they said, well, if it was them, they'd probably look at it and say, you might have a case in that Lee Johnson shouldn't be taking part in training at all because he's not an elite footballer. And if you want to minimise the risk to elite footballers, then they put a rogue element into the training pitch where they could, cause injury by making a tackle. Because you see when we play teams that aren't as good as us, players come in late, they miss time the tackles,
Mm-hmm.
and players can get pick up injuries from it. Now, when you're drawing against a team in a cup competition that's a couple of leagues lower than you, that's unavoidable. That you have to play that fixture, and that's like an acceptable risk. When it happens in training, you're in control of that situation. You didn't need to put that element into it. So that was the argument that they put forward in favour of Doyle Hayes, but they didn't say he's right and that's a winnable case. They just said that would be the argument, and they didn't care which way it would land. And also didn't care if they necessarily agreed with that line of thought themselves. But I thought it was interesting. Like the discussion on it in Hibsnet was quite interesting. The folks sort of suggesting it opened the floodgates for players to make claims against other players anytime they're injured. But I think it is different.
It's just misunderstanding. It's like there's so many misunderstandings. It's folk in. This is a legal thing that we know nothing about. We don't actually know the details of it.
Yep.
People might have heard stuff. Who's to say that's right? How much in the know stuff is there kicking about that's just fucking shown up to be wrong anyway? But also, misunderstanding words, misunderstanding the terminology, and making it out to be things that it isn't as well. There's that, and it's just like, but don't fuck all about it. We'll just need to wait and see what happens. Does it even? How long is it going for? Like, how many days are they in court? Is it like a total fucking Wayne Rooney job going into court? They talk about his wife and that, like that one.
Well, we have a friend that asked the sheriff, and they suggested he get settled out of court, and I reckon that's probably quite a likely scenario that we didn't really hear
Aye,
anymore
we'll
about.
just give him a run.
Everybody to just get it over and done with. But it's an interesting argument as well that it wasn't so much for the fact that he got injured and missed out on money at Hibs. It was that his next move wasn't as good as it could have been. So it's like the potential earnings is what he's claiming for. That's quite a hard one to prove. Like, I think you would need to be able to evidence
Aye.
for bigger teams than Hibs coming in for him.
And obviously he's come out and said at the time, it wasn't his fault, and there was another injury that surfaced and all that. But now they can obviously go back on that and say, well, it's because I was working for him. I couldn't tell the truth when I was working for him, which you can understand. Like, I'm not meaning that to sound arsey, because you can kind of understand it when you're in it. Like, like you do want to criticise, because then you could be blacklisted for saying that. But then when you leave, it looks like sour grapes.
Aye.
You know what I mean? There's that balance. Like, I've spoke to you about something else about that I'm weighing up myself. You know what I mean? Like, that's not nothing to do with this, but it's almost like, well, if I see something that'll harm now, but it shouldn't, because it's the truth.
Mm-hmm.
But if you do it too late, and it's like, fuck, why'd you tell me that at the time for? It's just because,
Aye.
it's a hard position to be in. Like, but if he thinks he's due money, he's due money. It'd be interesting, because I'm assuming we paid him when he was injured all the time, so it must be like win bonuses.
Aye,
We never won any fucking games, so
I think from reading the article in it, I think it's what is it? Is it Seago? Is it or Sligo?
aye, Sligo, I think.
Sligo that he's at. I think his argument is, and it's a bit harsh for Sligo as well, kind of a bit of a
I
piss.
know, and he's still there.
Aye, that he could have had a better move than going to Sligo if he hadn't had that injury, and I think that's that's the tricky part to prove. Like, if I was thinking about it, how do you evidence that you were a better player than that level pre your injury? Because like Dorothy's was all right at Hibs. I don't think he was like fucking like a world beater or anything. Do you know? Like, I wouldn't have tipped him to be going. Like, wouldn't have thought he'd be leaving us to go to Celtic, for example, or like an English Championship club. I think he would have been somebody who would have.
Might have been the top end of his career, really.
But then maybe he could have gone to like Motherwell or St Johnson or something.
Aye, rather Sligo. Aye, yeah.
So,
as I say, imagine
it's
like, what are they saying about it? What are their podcasts saying?
Cheers, pal.
Aye.
But like I said, I didn't really have a like a strong opinion on how it should go. Like, I didn't ken the detail myself. You just want to see people treated right, and that includes Hibs getting treated right as well. You didn't want to see folk taking advantage, but you also didn't want to see Hibs having hammered somebody's career, not doing the right thing by them. Anyway,
I was just going to say, I think I started this by going, I'm not really that fussed about it. We've done about fucking 10 minutes on it.
I can. And there was a suggestion that it sort of extends beyond just that tackle, and it was about sort of Lee Johnson's general management decisions, and I've seen that suggested, but I haven't seen anything to back that up, so I'm kind of wary to push that line.
But you do wonder if it wakens up others, because Kel McGuinness was injured more than him, or as much as him when he was here. So, would you have money? Like,
he's been injured everywhere, though.
Aye.
He's still injured at Kelly.
He could have got a better move than Kelly. Then he would, I think he would have. He looked like he should promise that it would have meant he would have got a.
Aye, but he was injured in a game, though, wasn't he? So it would only be like if they were arguing about the treatment that they got. Maybe that would be a.
I thought it was maybe the treatment, like, as in not. So Lee Johnson's put a tackle in, which you wouldn't expect a manager to do, right? Even at training, they didn't even have shin pads in that on training. So it's no like they're going in big contact. The way they read half white socks. So for a manager to do that, but then I then thought, are they talking about the physio, the operations, the
making them play
healthcare sort of level
like that? Yeah,
that was at that, which then would impact just more on him.
Aye, definitely. All right, anyway, we'll wait and see what happens with that one. That was we obviously just speculating without kind of the details of the case. moves us on to Ian Gordon talking about working with the Black Knights and his ambitions for the club. So the Evening News had done an article based on an article in the Athletic, which I read, which was all about American owners in Scottish football. Anyway, spurred on by the San Francisco 49ers buying out the Rangers. Obviously, Dundee United have American owners. The Livingston have just got new American owners as well, wasn't it? It was like the great grandson of Henry Ford.
Oh, aye.
Getting behind the wheel at Livingston. I think somebody suggested I should have made that pun last time.
Aye. So make sure you get this time.
Good opportunity to do it there. But Ian Gordon was talking about the ambitions for Hibs. And actually, it's really good. I would encourage anybody who has doubts about the Gordon family's motivations and ambitions to go and have a read at it, because actually what comes across is Ian Gordon and his family have like a real sort of desire to see Hibs succeed. And it's not just like we know that they've chucked up plenty of money at the club. But he's talking about winning cups regularly, not just like a once in a get thinking of thing. It's like we want to be winning cups regularly, we want to be playing group stage European football, but also talking about sort of going from the not listening comment with the Black Knights through to where we are today and building a structure almost based on the recommendation around Malcolm Mackay. I don't know. I shared the article earlier, Colin. Did you
read it. Yeah.
What did you think?
No, I thought it was quite a good interview actually. Because he was giving credit while taking credit as well, wasn't he? You know, he wasn't just saying, "Look, it was what a brilliant decision I made with David Gray," because it was good. They did make the right decision and they did stand by him.
Mhm.
And obviously there was disagreement on the board, but you know what? Like, do you think more was made of that, like in the media and stuff, than maybe was how it was intended? Because you would, I think, healthy debate and disagreement, if you want to call it that, is a good thing. It's health. It's good. Like to be able to, rather than everybody just going, "Yes, Ian, sir, yes." Do it. Like,
Yeah.
you know, we want people to go, no, I think that's the right call. And you know what? That doesn't mean then you get hammered forevermore for saying it, because one of the times it'll be right, or it might make the person that's making the decision think a different way or think twice, or you know what I mean, consider other options. So don't want everybody just going, well, he was right once. So you know what? Every other decision now we're never going to debate again. Because he's been wrong loads as well. So I don't think we helped ourselves with that one. You know, like obviously Foley came out and says they never listened to me, which is a wee bit like what's out of order, right? Really, right? He should have kept it quiet, and he didn't. But I think it was like in the middle of another interview that the Scottish press were like, "It's this time of the year where there's fuck all to talk about," sort of thing. You know, grab that, and then we started leaking stuff as well, and it was a wee bit like it just felt a wee bit amateurish on both ends there.
Yeah.
But it's good that they seem to have put that all behind themselves. They've got the boy Bezbachenko in, who seems to maybe be um, the glue, like you know, the guy in the middle that's keeping everybody like
Conduit.
the conduit. He's keeping them all, keeping everybody on side and all that, and making it work a bit better. So no, I like the sound of things so far. We'll see what happens. See if we get anybody for Bournemouth this year, because clearly last year they went fuck yous,
Yeah.
get nibbed. But I think it might be a bit, we might find that we get something this year, decent player wise.
Well, there definitely seems to be much more coming out of the club about what is happening in the relationship. And I think remember we spoke about it last season, um, as the season was going, almost like it was a dirty secret at Hibs. Like the Black Knights side would talk about, like they've mentioned Hibs in their comms and everything, but we never heard anything coming out of the club about
Aye,
what was happening with Black Knight. And that dial's shifted completely the other way
yeah,
around now, where
it's all positive stuff, eh?
it looks like we're right on board. I know Black Knights were heavily involved in the appointment of the CEO, and feel that they worked well with the Gordon family to get that appointment over the line. So
That doesn't mean they all agreed either, though. You know what I mean? Again, they might have
it
said,
does
"Well, I
say,
want him, no, I want him or her," and
aye,
you know what I mean. So, but this time we're maybe just not saying, "Well, he said yes and he said no." You know what I mean? We've all agreed, we've done all the work on it, and this
aye,
is the person, which is what they should have done the last time, but they never.
yeah, 100%. But I was encouraged, really encouraged by it. I thought there was like a bit of passion there that you didn't often see for Ian Gordon as well, that kind
Yeah,
of came across, and talked about him and his brother sitting watching like Hibs games in pretty much on Ron Gordon's deathbed with him, and sort of realising at that point that they had a duty to take it forward and realise his dad's dreams. And you think, well, if you've got that sort of feeling and ambition, you're definitely going to be committed to it.
Aye.
Right, on to last season then, Colin. Right, so August last season, we covered July last week.
Right, games I've seen now, because last year we were talking about games.
enough.
Still the holidays.
So we kicked off August with our away trip to St Mirren, our opening game of the season, and we lost 3-0. I was thinking a game right here. This was our lineup that day. Right, with Bursic, Lewis Miller, Ekpiteta, O'Hora, Vente, Martin Boyle, Joe Newell, Obita, Mariah Welsh, Josh Campbell, and Rudy Molotnikov. We subs that day that came on: Chris Cannon, Luke Amos, and Miko.
Yeah.
Still Tavares in the squad at this point as well. He was on the bench. Quan was on the bench. Dylan Levitt was on the bench. McCurdy and Rocky as well.
Did you say Amos came on as well, didn't you?
Luke Amos came on. If I maybe we talked about this at the time, like you'd have players that would come in every now and again, like out of nowhere, and then they would disappear again. And Amos was a player like that, that sort of, I don't know if Gray was just giving him a chance, like to say.
There is, as we go through this over the next 2 or 3 weeks as well, I'm sure at this point, August, September, October, when we weren't winning games and we were throwing points away, that the Hamdur title run in the end, that there was like 20 minutes for this guy, or Mike Quan was starting games and we were sitting going, what's Quan's on the team? He's been shite. You know, and then it got to the point where he was just like going, right, off you come, that's another mistake. Off you come, somebody else has gone on now. You know what I mean? And it was like, but then you look at that and you go, right, so the keeper's clearly different, right? But Obita, O'Hora, Miller, Newell didn't play for Christmas onwards, as we said last week. Boyle, Campbell, they've all played plenty of games in the win and run. So it's only the like say so a formation change for this one because that's a 4-2-3-1, which we maybe we'll get on to. But I think we switched to a 3 for the Celtic game the week after. But with 4-2-3-1 with those players, and we've added in Rocky and Iredale.
Yeah.
And then a wee bit of, like Bill Hoylett and that have played minutes. But you know what I mean? It's no huge, like, drastic changes for that pumping.
Aye. It was, and do you remember much about the game? So we went in 0-0 at half time.
Right.
I actually thought we looked quite good first half of the.
What I remember about it was, I remember saying about it was, or talking about you about it, whether it was on here, that it was one of the games that you're doing all right and it's 0-0, but you know that if St Mirren get the first goal, we're going to lose. You know, like what we did under the season before and the season before that, where you're doing all right, you're in a game, we've got the best chances, and then we lose a goal and we go, oh, for fuck's sake. And was this no also the game? Was this no also the game? I'm trying to, sorry, my phone's locked there. I was going to look at when they scored the goals. There was, I think they either got the first or the second goal, right? And then we lost the goal again straight after it, whether that was the second or the third goal, I can't remember.
It was
78 and 80 minutes, so the second and third.
Aye, so 70 and 80 minutes is scored now.
Aye, so what happened was like 78 minutes, you go 2-0 down, you're like, for fuck's sake, we need to get the next goal to give us that 10 minutes of franticness. Is that word? Franticness. To get the ball in the box, to swing it in, to put them under pressure, to make them feel nervous. And they basically took a kick off and went and fucking scored again. And you're going, what the fuck? Like, how you're always tell teams are most vulnerable after they've scored a goal. You know what I mean?
Aye.
And it was us. We were the ones that let in. It was crazy. And was there no also, was it a short pass back in this one for Ekpiteta maybe? Was that the mistake in this game?
I had a short back pass, but somebody no tracking a runner. I think somebody's getting the ball. Like it might be Mariah Welsh, I think, was challenging in the box and was just like a really half-arsed tackle, and then lost the ball, and the boy just tucked it away.
Yeah, I see Gray called it unacceptable
in
the BBC match report after. I don't recall them being as hard as that actually that quick in the season, but yeah. So it wasn't a great start to the season, was it?
No, it's interesting. Just having a look back at some of the stats, right? So 58% possession we had that day. Uh, although I'm not fucking believe in this. So just rounding, I was going to say I had us at 58% possession and submitting at 43.
Mm.
So we're over 100 there, but it's obviously rounding. Shots on target, they had 4 out of 9 shots on target. We had 3 out of 15, so we had more shots, but fewer on target. But the difference here is their keeper made 3 saves out of
Mhm.
3,
Mhm.
and Bursitt's made 1 out of 4.
Yeah, yeah.
You can sort of see where.
I don't think Bursic was getting the blame for this one though.
No,
Like as much as we've obviously come to learn, but I don't think that game, although we were probably still trying to give him the benefit of the doubt to some extent. But I don't think it was his fault for any of the goals though, for memory.
no.
Although, you know what? I think I listened to the podcast on this, like for last week's show. I've not re-listened to it. I'm sure I said the third goal. I thought he didn't stretch his arms out far enough.
Ah, you did. You did. I've listened this morning. It's funny that the reaction to this one was I was really angry for the support when you consider like the League Cup campaign hadn't been terrible, apart from Kelty.
There was actually calls for David Gray in the talking points.
Talking points mental, eh?
How long's he got to last? One league game.
One league game. Um, there was talk about getting campaigns against the board, like
Mhm.
if things didn't improve. A lot of chat about fucking the quality of the transfer window and stuff like that as well, and a lot of anger. I think that kind of came across. I listened to that podcast this morning,
Mm.
or some of it anyway, this morning, just to get a kind of feel for what the chat was. And I
It's quite
was,
interesting listening back, eh?
I
We should do
hadn't,
that. The listeners should go back and listen to them before we do September next week.
I,
Listen to some of the September podcasts, see what we were saying, so they came on and talking shite
I
and just
hadn't,
making it up.
I hadn't remembered just quite how angry everybody was
Uh,
quickly. Like, I mean, it was a bit of a stinking result and like a stinking second half performance. It wasn't even like a bad 90 minutes. It was just a bad second half performance. Um, and I think it was like the folk that had been holding on to the anger after the Celtic game had another chance to just kind of. I
yeah,
think it probably didn't help that we were playing Celtic in the cup by this point.
that's right. That's right.
We're already like that's one of the cups written off almost. Um,
Yeah.
so our season got off to a terrible start. The next game we played obviously was Celtic at Easter Road, and again this was like a fucking 3 minutes in there a goal up.
Boiling hot sunny day. I was in the famous five that day, just in front of the terrace seats, the new terrace. It was fucking burning. That's when football should be played.
Oh, definitely, it's much nicer. Lineup that day. So again, same lineup. Bursic, Miller, Ekpiteta, Hora on a Levitt's come in for this one. Boyle, Newell, Abita, Campbell, Molotnikov, and Kukovic.
Leave it in the 10.
No, I think Levitt came in here for um.
BBC's lined them up in the 10. I'm just looking at the BBC information.
Well, actually, the I'm looking at this. It's the fbref.com. I'm looking. He's got him in the 10 as well. So I take that back. Maybe we did try him in the 10.
Mm.
Kukovic coming in for Venti. He got dropped after that. So Mariah Welsh got dropped. And subs that came on. So Venti came on. Chris Cadden came on. Kieran Bowie came on in that game.
Mm-hmm.
I think this was the one where he sort of ragdolled Carter Vickers, wasn't it? Where he was
At
like,
the post, the bar. Mm-hmm.
rubbing their hands and going, "Fucking hell, yes, we've got a
Yeah.
player here." Mariah Welsh came on. Megwa on the bench as well, like
Mm-hmm.
game before going out on loan. Um,
This was it. So we weren't expecting much for this, but if you look at the goals and of what I remember of the goals, I think at the time I thought this is a great strike from McGregor because I was behind the goals and it was at that end. And but when I watched it back, there was 3 or 4 midfielders just watched them step
aye,
away from them. And then the other one, I'm sure, like somebody maybe Nick Potato passed it back to the goalie. He let it run almost right to the byline for like it was nearly going out for a corner, and then he just fucking smashed it in the midfield straight to the Celtic player.
aye.
Is that the same goal, or is that 2 different goals? I can't
Oh
remember.
no, I don't think that's the same one. I try
Mm.
to remember the game. To be fair, I remember
Uh,
like just
Feels like ages ago, eh?
see. We kind of did this, so we'll talk about the cup game just after that. But the conceding the quick goal to Celtic, it
Yeah,
just they'll start fast. I remember like being really frustrated about that. Kind of sitting up
3 minutes.
stand 3 minutes and you're a goal down, you just think, well, that's fucked already.
Yeah.
And we almost, I think, by this point, we're going, well, we know we've got Celtic to play again. Season starts almost like after that, doesn't it? Like we're almost kind of ready to write off a couple of games. No, I felt with this one and the next again uh,
Mhm.
against Celtic that didn't really give us a flavour of the Hibs team that we were going to see.
No.
It was
No.
just, we were playing a team much better than us, and we just kind of had to get through it. And it was unfortunate we played them early in the season, but we had that 4-2-3-1 formation
Yeah.
again.
It's funny though, I'm just reading David Gay's comments, and so the first one he said unacceptable. This one he says when you make individual errors and don't show bravery on the ball, it can be a long afternoon. Week 2, he's talking about individual errors. I didn't
Aye,
realise it was that early
no,
that he was saying stuff like that.
the bravery on the ball bit was it was interesting as well. Sure, we talked about it in the run up to the game. You need to be brave when you play Celtic, and we see it so many times where players panic. It's like I don't know what it is, whether it's the fact that Celtic press really well and so you didn't have the time on the ball, but we just fucking put the ball anywhere sometimes when we're
Aye.
playing
We,
them.
we had a whole debate on the show. John was on it. Like John's not here tonight. Obviously, he's not. He's
Dysentery,
suffering PTSD.
chronic
Is it not?
dysentery, said the night.
Oh, chronic. Um, but the
Life
uh,
changing, he said, life changing dysentery.
uh, um, well, we spoke about like well, Celtic players are worth more money, so they can run faster and further. And I was like, they're better on the ball, but they shouldn't be able to run faster and further because
Aye,
one thing you can do no matter if you're a full time, you're in as much as them. You can go fucking running as fast as your head allows you to. Because that's what that's about. That's not about ability. Ability is what gets you at the top level, but work rate anybody should be able to do. Anybody should be able to do. Not everybody can. I totally get that, but that's what gets you to. It's frustrating because they had better work rate and better players.
aye. I think that changed over the course. So we talked
Aye,
about that as well, wasn't it? About players getting their shorts dirty and that. And I think you're right. That was an example of a game where we were like Celtic we're not going to win, so let's just
aye,
get over and done with.
aye. Hurry up, ref, blow the whistle.
Aye. So disappointing one. The next one was the cup game where we went to Celtic and got beat 3-1.
Mhm.
Kukovic scored the goal, cracking goal as well, wasn't it? The header from
Yeah, diving head, aye.
for the free kick. So line up that day. Uh, so we went a 5-3-2 with Bursic, Lewis Miller right back, Bashiri, Ekpeteta, Hora on a beater, Joe Newell, Josh Campbell, Mariah Welsh in midfield, and Boyle and Kukovic up front.
It's interesting that, isn't it? Because there has been chat that we've stumbled across a formation and we got lucky and it was forced to injuries. Third game of the season,
Yeah,
we've been to a 5-3-2 or a 3-5-2.
aye. And we played much better in this game as well. So again, conceding early goal, Maida scores after 4 minutes and after 15. But then we get back into Miko's goal. But um, I never felt we were like massively out of this game. Celtic obviously dominate the ball,
Mm-hmm.
but I never felt we were out of it. Um,
Not till the third went in. I think the longer it goes on 2-1, you're thinking, we're still on this. Something could happen. You know, you got a corner, deflection, lucky penalty. You never know, like straight for distance. But then when it goes 3-1, you're kind of up against it. Eh? It
aye.
was like the other week when we played them in the top six.
Mm,
It was a bit like that. You know, it felt we were in the game, well, we went one up in that game, but even at 2-1 down, you're thinking, well, we're still 2-1, and then,
aye.
so, yeah,
Aye. Four shots
same
to
old.
12, two on target to their seven. There's 61% possession. It was a tough afternoon for us and disappointing to go out of the cup as well. Like that was one of those
Yeah,
ones where, like I said there, didn't feel we were out of the game. Also, didn't really feel Celtic really got out of second gear in it.
yeah,
Quite comfortable.
they didn't.
And
David Gay was saying we found ourselves very quickly in the same movie, which is extremely frustrating.
aye,
There's no excuse for the level of performance and the goals we're losing at the moment. There's going to be competition. There'll have to be changes because we can't keep making the same mistakes. Third game.
aye,
Like, I genuinely thought this was coming later.
aye. It's interesting, eh? Well, we'll talk about Dundee game, which was next, the 2-2 on the 24th of August, because this one again is probably one that was really symptomatic of where we were at this
Hmm.
stage of the season. So having conceded early in those two games against Celtic, uh, you come into this one, next one at East Road, and this was everybody was talking about. Right, season starts here, playing Dundee. You should be looking to win this one.
Mm-hmm.
They go a goal up in 9 minutes. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's fucking like it was like a repeating bad movie.
Shite all as well, wasn't it?
Mm.
Yeah.
Line up Bursic, Miller, Ekpiteta, O'Hora, Boyle, Newell, Kwan, Nicky Cadden, Abita, Molotnikov, and Kukovic. Bowie came off the bench. So Martin Boyle and Bowie scored. So we went a goal down. We went 2-1 up. And actually, the performance wasn't that bad in that game. I think once we got into it, like
Mm-hmm.
Dundee obviously started well, got their goal. And from what I remember, I think we kind of got a grip in the game and probably should have seen it out. And then Murray scores in the 88th minute or 89th minute. But I think it was O'Hora switched off and just didn't realise he was like
It was
over the shoulder.
terrible. It was really bad actually because it was sort of on the, so it was at the Dundee end.
Yeah,
They scored and O'Hara was in the left centre back position, and the ball came back to him, and he just sort of, he thought, oh, I've got this, I'll maybe just let it roll it for a goal kick, or Bursick will come and get it. And Murray just nipped in the inside of him, like totally. He wasn't even running fast, O'Hara. You
aye,
know what I mean? He was just like strolling along with it. Didn't he see him? And Murray scored it late on, and this was still at the point where we had that reputation, and the fans had that nervousness about it being 2-1, or 2-1, oh, well, come what happens next? We're going to,
yeah,
oh, we'll totally fucking be the usual typical Hibs, all that stuff. And the media were obviously perpetuating that, but we believed it. And we then translated that onto the pitch at times, whereas that wasn't happening later in the season when we were 2-1 up against Hearts. I don't remember everybody panicking,
no,
even in a derby, which is like even more normal for folk to panic in a derby because you think they've got a lucky one, eh? But um, it wasn't great. Eh? That was pretty bad because you were looking at it and I think we were probably, I never listened to what we said at this time, never got around to it. But I'd imagine we were saying this is one of the ones we need to win. This one we've got Celtic away. We've got Celtic at
aye,
home, Celtic away. We need to beat Dundee, and we should have beat Dundee. This
aye.
was McCowan's probably last game for Dundee before the window as well. And we were thinking, will we sign
Mhm,
him?
aye.
And everybody was saying, oh, McCowan's definitely got to score against us and all that. Control the game against us. I mean, don't get me wrong, like he's been good at Celtic when he's got minutes. I have
Aye.
to say, Yankee would have been a good signing for us. Um, but yeah, all the McCowan noise was gone at this time as well.
Well,
And
it's
this was the end of August, wasn't it?
they've done pretty much as well. Eh? Like, I mean, hearing that like, his
Aye,
agent and that, we're talking about the kind of deals being agreed. And
24th of August that was.
aye, 50-50 possession with 13 shots, only two on target. Like, that was a problem earlier in the season as well. Eh? But we're pretty wasteful.
Yeah,
Um, Dundee had nine, with five on target, and four yellow cards each. Bowie got his first goal, first
yeah.
league goal for us. I can't actually remember the goal. Funnily enough, I can't remember Boyle's goal in that game either. Now I'm thinking about it. That's
Nah,
funny.
it was
I can
fun.
remember the Dundee goal where they equalised, but that's probably just because
I
that's what
remember that
the
clearly.
attention
Yeah.
went after it. But that was, I think, probably the first point where I felt worried about where the season was going,
Hmm.
because it was like a must with a chance to get going, and it was the fact that we fucking conceded early again. I think that just really annoyed me. I remember just like sitting there going, "Oh, for fuck's sake! Like how
Yeah.
have we done that again? How have we been learning?"
Yeah.
And because the late goals hadn't really become a thing yet, like you were saying, like that sort of went on, kept happening for a wee while after this, but
I
before
bet
we,
it's a thing from before because of the
aye,
2-2s, mind, the year before. I mean, even the headline in the BBC says same old issues, dog Hibs.
aye,
Um, and that's what, that's what they're getting at. Sort of
mm,
saying, like the fans will get restless. All the stuff that opposition would be talking about uh, to unsettle the team, unsettle the fans, and that was perception, even though it was only the third league game of the season.
aye,
That's where we are, three league games in.
aye. Funny, eh?
We're
Funny.
so early. We were so early on the negativity this year. It was quite incredible because last season was so shit. It was almost like it just carried on, and like folk didn't see the value, didn't see a change because it was just the guy that was there last year getting promoted,
Aye,
and it was just we've made a couple of mistakes, like we were making. We weren't scoring enough goals, like what was happening. It wasn't the, then there was the noise with Malky, Mackay, a lot of noise about that, the unsettlement of a lot of people. Negativity was started early. You know what? I don't know if it started earlier, if it just never stopped the year before.
Probably more of that.
Mm.
That is it interesting that we dropped Rocky again. Eh? Like if you think the week before going to the 3-5-2,
Aye.
5-3-2, whether
Yeah.
we're defending and how we ended up the season, you wonder what would have happened if Gray had gone stick with what we did at Celtic and bring into this game. Whether we would have seen a like much a different outcome because Miller and Rabia on either side that didn't really change much through the season. Like Nicky Cadden played in this game as well, and it was O'Hora and Ekpatera. They were the centre too, so you could easily have dropped Rocky back into that team and that sort of three centre halves and let the wing backs go forward. Quan was still getting his game at this point as well. Like
He's only just signed.
aye into the team and aye McCurdy on the bench, Amos on the bench.
Jaya still on the bench? Was
Nah,
he before?
he'd gone by this point. I think Josh Campbell on the bench there as well. He came on. It's interesting. Like Milotnikov's still featuring most weeks as well.
Aye, I know. He just totally he got injured, didn't he? And then never
Yeah.
really came back.
He'll probably be quite disappointed at how that season went. Like the
Oh,
fact
aye.
he was. And Gray, there was a really good interview with David Gray on the BBC. Um,
I've not listened to it yet.
oh, you should listen. It just
Not a
came
chance.
out yesterday, I think, or the day
Yeah.
before. Really interesting, like a reflection of the season, and he's talking about keeping players happy and you're sort of using the squad. But his point is like players are not complaining when the team's winning.
Mm-hmm.
Again, that you can't come back into the team. So as long as the team's winning, you've got a happy squad pretty much. And probably Molotnikov was a victim of that in that when he was fit again, the team had had a group and it was really difficult for him to go and displace somebody.
Yeah. And you had Hoylett in that playing well, eh? That's the thing, it's like there wasn't
Aye,
just where is he going to play? Like, is he coming in? Because he had predominantly played on the left or sometimes in the 10, right? So you had Hoylett, Campbell, and you had Cadden and Abita playing on
aye,
the left. So, like, where is he playing? And it's not just one player that he's waiting on having a bad game or we're doing well, we'll get you on for 20 minutes. There's somebody else, he's third in the choice for these positions.
aye. So that rounded up August. Fucking quite a bleak month, wasn't it? When you kind of look back.
Aye. I was just looking forward to September there to see what because I was thinking well, maybe we need to do another one just for the time, but we're all right. We've done an hour because I was looking at that. September's not many games in it. I think next week might be a September and October double bill because this is when all these fucking international breaks start, and this will be
International breaks.
they're just constant, and there might have been a League Cup game there as well that we weren't in obviously. So
Aye,
because there's 3 games in September.
aye. Did you have Rangers? I think was it Kilmarnock?
Kilmarnock was the
Johnson.
first, yeah, and then
We'll
and that
have
was
our
it.
first win to talk about
Aye.
then.
But September, October, November is when you get the international breaks, and there's a League Cup round that we never had, so there's not as many games, and so it's quite frustrating. You have all the 3 midweeks and all that at that point of the season, and you use them when the weather's nice and,
Aye.
and all that kind of stuff. You know
The
what I
week
mean? Rather than that
today.
fucking December, like ram them all in. Just like use September and October,
Aye.
or August and
Right.
September. Like,
Right.
nah, crazy.
Yeah.
Nice Wednesday night game rather than a fucking a Tuesday night in December. Like,
Did you get a bit of background noise there where you were talking? From Hopefully nobody heard it. There was a dug outside that was doing its best impression of a fucking seagull.
not
Napping
ever.
away. Aye, well, good. Right, we'll call it a night there, Colin. We'll be back tomorrow with extra time. We will do it tomorrow as well. I know last week we moved it off to the Wednesday, but we'll be out tomorrow.
Yeah.
We're going to look at some of the refereeing decisions and some of the stats around the referee stuff as well. No selling it like it. We'll make it better than that sounds.
I hope so.
Aye,
I've not read it yet. I've not read the prep.
we'll have a read it. So just some interesting stats. So we'll have a bit of chat about that. Stevie's just said fast forward to December, lads. Let's just skip
Oh,
September.
that's what I was actually thinking. That Stevie, I agree with you. I think next week we do September, October, and then we're into the proper turnaround
When it
November
starts
into
turning
December.
around.
Aye.
Aye.
So let's get September and October done on a winner next week, and
But
then
it's like It's like in films that do that, they make it like it sounds like it's going to be shite for ages, like everyone's getting bleaker for the hero, and then something happens and it all turns around, and you end
Yeah,
up
good guys appear.
amazing. Aye,
Yeah.
Death Star at the end, and everybody's happy. Right. Aye. So tune in to Extra Time. You can get a free trial on Patreon if you don't already subscribe, and if you do subscribe, you'll see it dropping into your podcast players.
Join our celebrity listeners. That will no
Aye,
name, but that we do have.
more than
It's
one.
GDPR in that.
Aye, we can't tell you that, but there are celebrity listeners now. We have hit that
And
benchmark.
I'm amazed that people like that know who I am.
Aye,
That's mental when you think of that, eh? Said that to
aye,
me earlier on. So that's mental that this person, these people know me, eh?
it's mental. It's, I don't know what to say to it, but it's
Aye.
mental. Right, we'll leave it there. Thanks for tuning in, folks. We'll see you next